Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Tyler. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video, topic, reaction, commentary, review, re-review, whatever the case may be. I'll get to it as soon as I can. And Tyler wanted me to look at, it's a fake documentary. And I didn't really know what this was because it's only 30 minutes long. Heard nothing about it. And it's done by a guy named Dean Packus. I guess with this guy, throughout the years, he had done these little cartoons that maybe you would see on Newgrounds or maybe once in a while on YouTube. These little shorts. And then as years went on, he's like, well, I'll just make a fake documentary. As if there was a studio from way back in the day, from the, what was the decade he started with, like the 40s or something? I forget. And how there was this company called Apocalypse Cartoons. And I'm going to do what the history of those cartoons were, what happened to them, and sort of the behind the music, true Hollywood story, like that type of documentary, but a fake one, thus a mockumentary. And I get the idea, and I like the idea behind it, to make like a fake doc on our cartoon studio. Only this was very, very controversial and has all sorts of weird, crazy cartoons that really push the envelope. But the way it's handled, I don't know. I can see why I'd never heard of this before. And I can see why I never heard of any of this stuff before. If this is material that he did and he said, well, I'll put it in here as part of my fate, I can see why I never heard of that material before. This is very cheap shock. Very cheap shock. Very cheap, lame jokes. And it just, I didn't think it was as funny as they were hoping it to be, or at least Dean Packus hopes it was, at least to me. So he did cartoons like Rats on Cocaine. That was, I did like the line, loved by dozens of people around the world. It's so successful, only dozens of people saw it. So I did like that line. But the narrator saying how Dean Packus was a purple sphere. And someone would hire this purple sphere to write comics in newspaper strips back to the day. And the strips would be someone standing up with the Monroe Doctrine saying, speak softly and suck my black dick. Or another comic strip where this guy's entering a pussy and he enters a world where women actually had civil rights. That's what the narrator says. I went, don't tell me you're going to be preaching as well. Or Petey, the fetus who survived an abortion from a hainer. And they were getting more and more successful, so a company called Apocalypse Cartoons he was fired. He drew caricatures of people's genitals, and then he did cartoons like Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is the one joke I kind of laughed at, one and only, is a T-Rex who happened to have a Klan hood on, and it was called Tyrannosaurus Rex. As dumb as that is, as juvenile as that is, the look of it, I will say it did, and the name of it did make me laugh. I admit that. But, oh, the studio was built over an ancient hobbit burial ground. I'm like, okay. And it's the era of sound film, prohibition. So here's a priest who had a flask found and kills the cop. Now you'll never speak easy again. The speak easy. And I'm like, okay. And then this purple sphere Dean Pattis took that character, named him Father Tucker, and now that we have sound in cartoons, he made him a pedo. And that's what I'm talking about with like just shot value for shot value's sake. So there's a cartoon where Father Tucker goes into a daycare. There's a bunch of babies who then are sucking on his nipples, his dick, and he's eating baby ass. And I say that, and I hate that I have to say that out loud, but I'm sitting there going, the person who made this fake documentary as if, oh, this controversial cartoon studio that became popular, I'm like, I get that, what you're doing, but the shock value just wasn't funny. It was just, really? Really? I mean, there's been shows that were controversial. Beavis and Butthead. South Park. But they were more witty and more clever. And listen, there's no wittiness to this. There's no cleverness to this. They just think that the guy, Dean Pattis, just thought the shot value would elicit laughs. And maybe it would for some people. Just not for me. I guess I just don't have that sense of humor. And I'm just like, and it's that, or the dialogue that the narrator is saying, like, cocaine became a part of the scene, and I found a new purpose, imprisoning innocent minorities. So I find it funny that this guy wants to have these cartoons that are controversial, like a priest rimming a damn baby, but then wants to talk about how civil rights and minorities, and I'm like, so you want to get on a soapbox and preach to people while you also having cartoons that are there to shock and annoy and turn people away. Like, make up your own damn mind. Do you want to shock everybody? Then shock everybody. Then go for everybody if that's the case. But then you get on a soapbox, you want to preach to people. Like, what the hell are you doing, dude? What are you doing? What are you going for? And even like the animation, I mean, I don't know how to do animation, so it's better than I could ever do. At times it's okay. And then how he created this cartoon which had this rat who had seen his son tell you about Jimmy Sniffer. He was a low-down asshole ripper. Just the laziest, cringeworthy dialogue you could think of. So it sounds like stuff I would write, but I know I'm not a writer. So he did a cartoon, and then it was sued. So he did the same cartoon, but with a different rat. He was sued. So he just took those two rats and then made them Cage and Alice in a series called Rats on Cocaine. It was successful. There was comics. There was cocaine straws. I did like that line. None of them sold, but they were there for sale. So again, there's probably 3 times I smirked and chuckled. This cartoon was loved by dozens of people. Here's all this merchandise. None of them sold, but they were there for sale. And again, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But again, then the shot value, like, he tried to do a cartoon, but it was bad timing. And the cartoon was the Immortal Kennedys. Whereas John F. Kennedy and his brother, like, we're so glad bullets can't harm us. And bouncing off their teeth. And you get it because, you know, they both got shot later on. So him making a cartoon where they don't get shot was bad timing. Ha 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 ha. I'm like, and more cartoons with the 2 rats, like one is pegging the other with her giant clit to the point that the other rat is bleeding. Or they do a take on Muppet Babies, but crap babies. Crap babies, but do 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 crap babies. I'm surprised you didn't get sued. Granted, this is for online, so he's not selling it. So to be fair, that's why. It's parody, number one. It's parody, and number two, he's not selling it, so he's not making money off it. Then the narrator goes on this monologue about how this 4-year-old who's a crime lord and did all these crimes, she was influenced by rats and cocaine, so the cartoon went away, the studio was shut down, the purple sphere was frozen for decades until he came out, learned how to animate on the computer, and now has work on YouTube and Newgrounds. Which people may not remember who Newgrounds is still around, but I don't know how many people actually use it now. Newgrounds is where people did flash animation and put it on there. A lot of times very rough quality. But nowadays, I doubt a lot of people, they would just put it on YouTube. Because YouTube, you would have more eyes on it, more possibility of eyes on it. So if they did something, they would just put it on YouTube. I guess unless it's more adult content, so Newgrounds, they don't really mess with you on that. So, I guess if you want to do that, then you can. But yeah, what price freedom? Like I said, I like the idea. I like fake documentaries. Whether it be of horror films like The Tunnel, or dramas like Population Zero, or comedies like This Is Spinal Tap. And the idea of making a fake documentary about this cartoon studio that went belly up and what happened to it seemed fun. Seemed like an enticing idea. And it's only like 30 minutes long. But again, it's like the animation is supposed to be rough. Okay, I could deal with that. It feels like this is something done by one guy. Okay. But again, it's mainly kind of a slideshow with a narrator, and then you see a cartoon pop up. Then there's a slideshow with a narrator, and then a cartoon pop up. It would have been cool to have fake interviews from back to the day to seem like, well, I mean, this was in the silent era, so at least you wouldn't have interviews back then, but maybe that's the thing. Maybe if this took place in the 60s and 70s, and you have old interviews, and you have maybe the cartoon characters being interviewed. I don't know. Just if the cartoons were more witty and more clever or more entertaining to watch, I just very lazy shot value to elicit the response of laughter. And Beavis and Butthead and South Park, if they just did that, they wouldn't have been that popular. And so it's just yeah, I'm going to do this to try to get attention. Just how do you go, hey, look at me, I'm over here. So let me put the most wild, crazy, shocking stuff, so when someone says it and they talk about it, and people go, oh, I gotta go see how crazy that is. Well, again, the animation's, not fantastic. It's there. I said the jokes, for the most part, weren't that funny. Thankfully, it's 30 minutes long. I'll give you that. I think it'd be nice if someone took this idea and really worked. Just did a better job with it. I guess if someone asked what's something you would like to see a remake of, here you go. What price freedom? There you go, a remake of that. I mean, you would even say the whole pedo thing. I guess you say that's kind of parodied on what's that character on Family Guy? That voice, that maybe you didn't even make that into more comedic than it was here. I just rolled my eyes a lot. Was really what I did. Okay. like I said, the setup with the purple sphere thing and the immortal Kennedys. I'm like, okay. Like I said, I can see why this is not really that known of a thing. But it's on, was it Vimeo? It was on Vimeo. If you want to watch it for free, it is on Vimeo. What Price Freedom? The History of Apocalypse Cartoons from 2017. So, just type that up. Type Vimeo as well. What Price Freedom? The History of Apocalypse Cartoons on Vimeo. You'll find it. And the actual running time is 29 minutes and 30 some seconds. So, there you go. This is what at the bottom it says. Apocalypse Cartoons was once the world's most disturbing animation studio. It is both loved and loathed for vile creations such as rats or cocaine. That'd be another thing. Like, have people interviewed, like people who are fans, like nowadays. Oh, I was a fan of it, or blah blah blah. Like, really get into the whole fake documentary stuff. Have people interviewed. Maybe people from the 60s, 70s, they found this and they're interviewed how much they love or how much they hate this stuff, and little is known about its rise and fall or its reclusive founder, an intangible purple orb. Now, for the first time, the story behind these mysterious animations is explored, featuring exclusive clips of cartoons not seen in generations, from the initial silent films, Conquering Color Mist to World War, struggles with TV and shifting moralities, and ultimately his long fear return through the back of the internet. So, yeah. Congrats on the guy getting it made. I guess Roscoe Pico was the narrator. At least that's what it says here in the credits. Ryan Matiska was the composer. And I'm guessing Dean Pattis did this all himself, so congrats. This wasn't for me. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.